Hello children, today we will be learning the chapter The Language of Chemistry. A part of it you have already studied before holidays, and before holidays you learned a few subtopics, one of which was what is the symbol and the symbol of elements, and the other one was valencies of ions and radicals. You also have learned the valency chart. Hope you are thorough with it. You need to by heart it, without which you will not be understanding the next part of the lesson that I am going to teach you today, and that is chemical formula. What is a chemical formula? A chemical formula is a symbolic representation of a substance. Now when we mean substance, the substance can be either an element or a compound. Now when you denote an element or a compound, you by a symbol, it is nothing but the chemical formula. Let us learn the steps involved in writing a chemical formula. Formula is a plural, formulae is a singular. Let us take the example sodium sulfate. In the first step, we will be writing the symbol of the basic radical on the left side and the acidic radical on the right side. In the example that we have taken, the basic radical in sodium sulfate is sodium. So I am going to write the symbol of sodium as Na on the left hand side, and the symbol of sulfate, which you already know, is SO4 on the right side. You know that the basic radical is nothing but a cation, a positive ion or an electropositive ion, which we have taught you when we taught valencies. And acidic radical is nothing but an anion, a negative ion or an electronegative ion. You need to use the term basic radical and acidic radical instead of cation, anion, as you are in 9th, and even in the previous board exam they have asked to identify the acid radical and the basic radical in the given compounds. Now after writing the basic radical and the acidic radical in the first step, we will move on to the second step, in which we will be writing the valency number on the symbol. Now we have Na, whose valency number is 1 plus, and then we will write the acidic radical SO4, whose valency number is 2 minus. In the third step, after writing the valency number, we need to keep a few things in mind in the third step. First and foremost thing is, we have sodium, the valency number as 1, sulfate, valency number is 2. Now we have to interchange the valencies. The superscript will come to the subscript. That is one thing that you need to keep in mind. The second thing that you should know is, we have ignored the signs in this particular step. And then you also have to keep in mind, suppose after interchanging, if the valencies or the valency number is same, that is 2 and 2 on both the sides or 3 and 3 on both the sides, you need to simplify it. If it is 2 and 4, you need to again simplify it. Otherwise, just leave it as it is. Now in the fourth step, we will be writing the formula with the interchange valency, which is Na2SO4. Now here, SO4 is a radical. You have learned that radical is a group of atoms carrying charge. Now here we have SO4 1, so there is no need of a bracket. If the radical has a valency number 2 and more than 2, you have to put bracket and write the valency number on the right hand side bottom corner. Let me show an example how it has to be done. Let us take the example calcium phosphate. Here in the first step, we are writing the symbol of the basic radical, which is calcium in calcium phosphate, and acid radical, which is PO4 in calcium phosphate. In the second step, we will be writing the valency number for both of this. For Ca it is 2 plus, for PO4 it is 3 minus. In the third step, we will be interchanging the valencies. When we interchange the valencies, I have told you, you have to keep in mind the superscript should come to the subscript, and you need to ignore the signs. if it goes by the same table, you need to simplify, or if you have a common factor, you need to simplify. Here there is no such thing, so you leave it as it is. And finally you write the formula Ca3PO4, and I have told you that PO4 is a radical which is made up of 2 atoms, and hence you need to put the bracket and write the valency number for PO4 as 2 on the right hand side bottom corner. Let us practice to write the chemical formula of few more compounds. For better understanding, we have few compounds here. First we have the lead 4 oxide. As we know, we have to write the basic radical on the left hand side, and that is Pb, and acid radical O on the right hand side. In the next step, we write the valency number Pb4 plus O2 minus, and when we interchange, we ignore the signs and we bring the superscript to the subscript. We get Pb2O4. Then the final formula is PbO2. Now you know, because we have valency number 2 and 4, we are simplifying using a common factor, and hence the formula is PbO2. Then we have magnesium oxide, Mg basic radical, O acidic radical, valency number Mg2 plus O2 minus. As we interchange, we get Mg2O2. Here both are the same number, and hence we again simplify. We get MgO as a formula. Then we have chromium sulfate, CrSO4, Cr3 plus SO4 2 minus. When we interchange, we get Cr2 SO4. We have to write it thrice using a bracket on the right hand side bottom corner, because it is a radical made up of more than one atom. Potassium zincate, KZnO2, K1 plus ZnO2 2 minus, K1 ZnO2 2. When we interchange, we get it as K2 ZnO2. Now this ZnO2 is a radical, and because it is 1, there is no need of a bracket. Calcium nitride, CaN, Ca2 plus N3 minus, Ca2N3. When we interchange, we get Ca3N2. Now we don't have any common factor. We neither have a radical of 2 or more atoms, so there is no need of bracket also. Now we'll move on to the next example, iron 3 chloride. So Fe is the symbol of the basic radical, Cl is the symbol of the acid radical, Fe 3 plus, Cl 1 minus. Now when I interchange, I get Fe1 Cl3. Whenever it is 1, we need to ignore. We shouldn't be writing that 1. And Cl, because it is only one atom, we are not putting any bracket for it because it's not a radical of 2 or more than 2 atoms. No bracket is needed that time. So we'll write the formula as FeCl3. Let us learn how to name chemical compounds. Here, when we mean compounds, we mean inorganic compounds only. Organic compounds have a different set of rules which you will be learning in grade 10. So now when you write the name of inorganic compounds, these rules are to be followed. The first rule is, if the inorganic compound has a metal and a non-metal, when you have a metal and a non-metal in an inorganic compound, you should add suffix to the non-metal only. What do we mean by suffix? Now, whenever you name compounds, we have what is called as a root word. What we add after the root word, we call it as suffix. What we add before the root word, we call it as prefix. Prefix is always before, suffix is always after the root word. Now here let us learn this rule with some examples. Let us take the example NaCl. In NaCl, we have the metal sodium and the non-metal chlorine. We first write the metal, then we write the non-metal. Now our rule is we need to add the suffix IDE to the root word of the non-metal. So the formula will be sodium chloride. Now here we have added the suffix IDE to the root word. Similarly, we'll consider one more example, Mg3N2. Here we have metal magnesium which is written in the first and then the non-metal nitrogen which is written later. Now when we write the formula, here we have magnesium, we'll write as it is for the metal. Only for the non-metal we are going to add the suffix to the root word and it becomes nitride. So here IDE is a suffix to be added to the non-metal. This is the first rule. The second rule, we have two non-metals. When we have two non-metals, you write both the non-metals side by side. Now the first non-metal, then the second non-metal. After writing both the non-metals side by side, you add prefix like mono, di, tri. I hope you know the meaning of these prefixes. Mono for 1, di for 2 atoms, tri for 3 atoms and so on. Now let us take some example to understand this rule better. We have PCl5. In this we have two non-metals, phosphorus and chlorine. Now when we write the chemical name for this, we write it as phosphorus only because it's only one atom. There is no need of writing monophosphorus. Phosphorus, and for chlorine here we have 5 atoms, so we need a prefix. We write it as pentachloride. Now we retain the first rule, adding the suffix to the second non-metal, that is to the root word we add suffix. Here before the root word we add prefix. So here two things you need to keep in mind. First is the suffix of the first rule is retained as it is, then the prefix we are writing here, that is penta. Now we will learn about the oxides of nitrogen. The first oxide N2O. Here we have nitrogen plus oxygen. Now we will write the formula because there are 2 atoms of nitrogen. For 2 the prefix is di. Dinitrogen. You can either write only oxide or monoxide. Both are correct. Then NO. I hope you know the common name of dinitrogen monoxide. It is nitrous oxide. It is known as the laughing gas. Now here we have nitric oxide as a common name, but we need to write the chemical name. According to the chemical name, we have 1 atom of nitrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. So it is nitrogen monoxide. For the first one, you don't have to write mono for the first non-metal. Then here we have N2O3, 2 atoms of nitrogen, dinitrogen, and we have 3 atoms of oxygen. So it is trioxide. So we are adding di as the prefix, tri as the prefix. Along with that we have the suffix IDE. Here di mono. Here mono. Then NO2. NO2, because 1 atom of nitrogen, we just write it as nitrogen, but oxygen we have 2 atoms. So for the prefix for 2 is di, oxide. So we have the suffix as it is according to the first rule and the prefix di here. Now here we have 2 and 5. So when we have 2 and 5, it is again di-nitrogen pentoxide, because it's 5 atoms of oxygen. So di, penta, and then IDE the suffix. Now the third rule that we will be learning for the compound which has 2 elements and oxygen. So when we have 2 elements, you write those elements side by side, after which oxygen is written. Now here we are adding the prefix hypo or per depending on the oxygen content in the compound. To understand this better, we'll take examples and learn with the examples. NaClO. Here we have 3 atoms, sodium, chlorine, oxygen. Now we are first writing sodium and chlorine. You see in the chemical formula also we have sodium and chlorine, 2 elements, and after which oxygen is written. But while writing the name, we write this oxygen as the prefix. Now here the prefix for 1 atom of oxygen, the prefix will be hypo and the suffix will be ITE. So let us write the chemical name of this particular compound as sodium. The prefix should be hypo and the suffix is chlorite, ITE for the root word. So this is the prefix, this is the suffix. Now you all are familiar with this particular compound, sodium hypochlorite, as it is recently in use. You know that this particular compound is used as a disinfectant and it is used by the BBMP, which is sprayed through tunnels, only 1% of it, as a disinfectant to contain coronavirus. So it is very much in news and you are familiar with this compound. So according to this rule, we have 1 oxygen atom, so the prefix is hypo, the suffix is ITE. Now the next compound, we have NaCl2. So the atoms remain the same. The formula will be, the chemical name will be sodium chlorite. Now no, for 2 oxygen atoms, no prefix, only the suffix we have, and that is ITE. Now the third compound, NaClO3. The atoms remain the same, so I am not rewriting the atoms. I will write only the chemical name, sodium chlorate. For 3 atoms there is no prefix, but we have a change in the suffix, and that is ATE. Then we have NaCl4. Again sodium. For 4 atoms of oxygen, we use the prefix per, sodium perchlorate. So here the prefix is per, the suffix is ATE. So I repeat again, when there was 1 atom of oxygen, we use the prefix hypo. When there was 4 atoms of oxygen, we use the prefix per. But for 2 and 3, we just had the suffix sodium chlorite for 2 atoms of oxygen. For 3 atoms, sodium chlorate. This is the third rule. Now we'll learn the fourth rule in naming inorganic compounds. The fourth rule is about the name of the acids. Now in that we have 2 sub-rules. If it is a binary acid, when we say binary acid or a binary compound for that matter, it will have only 2 elements, an element reacting with another element. So here in this case we have a hydrogen reacting with a non-metal, that becomes a binary acid. So when we have binary acids, we add prefix hydro to it and suffix ic acid. You can also call it as ic acid. So when it is a binary acid, we have two things, prefix and suffix. Prefix is hydro, suffix is ic acid, you write it as. Now let us learn this with the help of some examples. We have HCl here. So we know it is made up of only two elements, binary acid. So we add the prefix hydro, and to the root word we add the suffix ic, chloric acid, ic or ic acid. Now so what we have added? We have added the prefix, we have added the suffix ic acid, ic acid, hydrochloric acid. In the similar way, we will write for HBr. The prefix will be hydro and the root word. So we have here the suffix as ic acid, hydrobromic acid. Similarly, we will write for HF, hydrofluoric acid, and HI, hydroiodic acid. So this is the rule for binary acids. But if the acid has radicals of polyatomic group present, that is more than 2 atoms, then the name of the acid is based on acid radical only. You have to consider the name based on the acidic radical. Let us learn some examples. We have H2SO4. When you write we have the acid radical and the basic radical here. So 2H is the acid radical and SO4 2 minus is the basic radical. Now to this basic radical, SO4 2 minus is nothing but sulfate. Now to this acidic radical, we are adding ic acid. So it will be root word sulfuric acid. So here we have the root word. This is the root word. To this root word we are adding ic acid. We are taking only the acidic radical and we are not writing anything about the basic radical. Similarly, HNO3. It has H1 plus as the basic radical, NO3 1 minus as the acidic radical. NO3 1 minus is nothing but the nitrate radical. To this you are adding the suffix ic acid. So the name will be nitric acid. So this is the root word. To this root word we are adding ic acid. We get the name nitric acid. Now the next one, H3PO4. Here the basic radical is H1 plus, the acidic radical is PO4 3 minus. PO4 3 minus is nothing but the phosphate radical. To this phosphate radical we are adding the suffix ic acid. So the name will be phosphoric acid. That is, here we have the root word phosphor. This is the root word. To that ic acid. So the name will be phosphoric acid. Now the fifth rule, which is the last rule for your standard but not the least rule, and that is the trivial name or the common name. Trivial name, the other word for it is common name. Now here let us learn this with the help of examples. We have H2O. According to the chemical name, it has to be dihydrogen. There are two nonmetals, so we need to add the prefix and the suffix, dinitrogen oxide or monoxide. So we have the prefix and the suffix IDE. But we do not usually say as dihydrogen oxide. Instead, we use the common name as water. Similarly, NH3. Here, According to the chemical name, it has to be nitrogen. We have two non-metals, nitrogen, and we have 3 atoms of hydrogen. So trihydride. So we have the prefix as tri, suffix as ide, but we do not say it as nitrogen trihydride. Instead, we use the common name as ammonia. So there are certain compounds wherein the common name is used, and here we have these are the 2 compounds as examples where we use common names. Now for this part of the lesson, I have some assignment for you, and the assignment for you for this part of the lesson is you will be answering the questions that are given at the back of the textbook, page 15. In page 15, question 12 and question 13 you need to answer. Answer question 12 and question 13 given in the textbook at the back of the lesson, page 15. So this is the assignment for you for this part of the lesson.